Clock, I've started the recording.
Madam Vice
Madam
President?
Vice President.
Excuse me, Madam President, I've started the recording. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Mrs. Maida.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And stand for a moment of silence, meditation, whatever you call it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Burton,
Present.
Dr. Henderson,
Here.
Mr. Howard,
Here.
Mr. Levenstein,
Here.
Ms. Maida,
Here.
Ms. Mineo,
Here.
Ms. Santiago,
Here.
Mr. Stridarn, Mr. Walker.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose. Matter made confidential under FERPA, employment history of particular individuals, matters leading to the employment of particular individuals, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, NTA, CSCA, and NASA, discussions regarding current litigation, DS versus NECSD et al., to obtain advice from legal counsel, and to discuss proposed acquisition or sale of real property. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago.
Yes.
Has been put out by our governor. And let me just take a second to explain the nuances. As of now, New Yorkers are allowed to travel to other states within a 24-hour time period. So as long as it's within 24 hours in and out, the previous restriction is no longer in place. However, if you are traveling for more than 24 hours, there are now 2 required tests that New Yorkers must take. The first one is prior to returning to New York. Individuals will have to take an exam and receive a negative result. And then upon returning to New York, having to quarantine for 3 days, and on the 4th day, take another COVID test and receive a negative result. In Orange County, I understand that not all Department of Healths are doing this, but in Orange County, an individual, in addition to the negative test, will still need to have a doctor's note clearing them from a physician. So that still is in place. There are particular states that the governor has identified as there being an allowance to be able to travel to and from, and that is Pennsylvania, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Jersey. So relatively the surrounding states to New York. Again, but let me just reiterate what I just shared. Within 24 hours, you're fine. Longer than 24 hours, you are going to be required to take 2 exams, one prior to returning to New York. And again, that has to be, you have to receive a negative result. And then when you get back, you have to quarantine for 3 days. And on the 4th day, take another exam. And that exam also has to be negative. And in Orange County, you have to have a physician's note clearing you in order to return. I wanted to just continue to share some internal efforts that we have in place, just to make clear to everyone that when we say we are monitoring daily, that's exactly what's going on. So we have our own COVID-19 daily briefing that takes place with some key stakeholders to communicate with the Department of Health, communicate with schools, assist with contact tracing. That happens every single day. I want to give a shout out to our faculty and staff and community for using the hotline and the email. More and more people are using those two forms of communication to share things they're seeing throughout the district, advising us of key happenings and the like. So covidhelp@necsd.net is the email, and the hotline is 845-563-3412. And a continuation to the Operation Reopen Task Force that took place in the spring and summer. That task force no longer is in place because we have now created the Pandemic Response Team. And that is a group of stakeholders helping to monitor, reviewing research, surveying our community in order to make sure that we continue to move the district in the right way, keeping it on track, monitoring the positive cases, the quarantines that happen, and then sharing that information with the community. And there is a newsletter that will be coming out very shortly, if not tonight, related to the first round of the pandemic response team work that has taken place. So that is another effort to share with the board and the community as to exactly what's happening in our district. We're not bound to do this. There's no requirement for us to do this. We just felt it was critical to keep everyone abreast and to continue to have a team working together to problem solve when we come across challenges, all right? Because again, this is about progress, not perfection. We're absolutely running into challenges, and this team is helping us to work through them. I want to just share a little bit on just synchronous expectations. Now, I've been in every single school. I've popped into a number of different classes, and I've noticed a couple of things. I see teachers really trying. I see teachers really trying to engage our scholars the entire time. And so when we say synchronous, we are talking about live interactive instruction. That is supposed to happen Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I've also noticed in my last round of walkthroughs of classrooms that there were a pretty significant number of students that didn't have their cameras on. And in some cases, I even came up to the laptop and asked students to turn their cameras on. Now, only in cases where the teacher has authorized for the camera not to be on, because sometimes there's valid reasons for that, such as you're doing independent work, the teacher's working with other students, and so it's appropriate at that time under the teacher's direction to not have the camera on. But let me be very clear, in all of our documentation and all of our communication, we have expressed that the camera should be on unless the teacher has authorized for it not to be. And that is the expectation of the district. We have expectations for our teachers and administrators that their cameras should be on at all times. The same expectation applies to our students, and for synchronous instruction to be live and interactive Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions lately, and rightfully so, around the next phase and when that might be. So we have a 100% remote model, and we have a hybrid with 2 cohorts. So those are the current models of instruction. We're not prepared today to identify when the next phase will take place. So the next phase is phase 4, 8th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And students and families, let me just share with you, we hear you loud and clear. We understand that you miss your teachers, you want to be in person. But sometimes you got to go slow in order to go fast. And this is not about a race. So as much as we would love to have everyone back in person every single day, that's not a reality today. We plan to make a decision either mid-December or mid-December, early January about the second semester. But that decision is going to be based on data. We need to see how well students are doing academically via their report cards. We need to take a look at attendance. we need to take a look at diagnostic data to see if our current models of instruction are actually working. And if we feel that there's signs of hope, then potentially we would consider a second semester of fully remote, or maybe we'll come up with something completely different. But whatever we decide has to be grounded in data around what's working and not working. So continue to just be patient with us regarding the second semester. And then for phase 4, we hope to make a decision in the next couple of weeks. Right now, things seem to be spiking, although school districts are managing well and helping to mitigate the spread of COVID. As you're noticing all across the county, and at least it's true for Newburgh, the majority of students that have been identified as being positive are mainly students who are not in person. So it's just another data set that we have to continue to monitor. So as it relates to phase 4, we're going to make a decision within the next week or two around when the transition will be. Again, we have a couple of things against us. Numbers are rising right now. We have Thanksgiving. We know Thanksgiving's an indoor event, usually with family and friends. There's a likelihood and a probability that there will be more cases at that time. So the likelihood of phase 4 happening this month, I have to be honest with you, is unlikely. So phase 4 most likely will happen in December, and I'll share that information out as I continue to monitor the district data day to day. Athletics. So just a quick update on winter sports. So as of now, the district and the county, for that matter, has authorized for optional workouts to take place. The winter season officially begins on November 30th. After the 30th, there are low risk and high risk sports, and we have it here for you so you can see which sports fall into which category. Now, for the high risk sports, it's not 100% clear right now if these sports are actually going to be allowed to compete at all. Right now, we're told that the high risk sports can practice, they can condition. There just cannot be any contact. A decision as to whether these sports will be allowed to actually start their season, we hope will be made shortly. But as of right now, it's only practice. And then for now as well, transportation will be provided to students in their hybrid model. Students that are 100% remote at this point will not be receiving transportation from the district. And again, that could change, but as of right now, that's where we're at. There are a number of safety protocols that are being put in place. So there's return to play protocols that have been provided to coaches. Children have to wear masks. They have to do the daily screener and temperature checks. At this point, for those sports that can move forward and compete, we're not going to allow for any audience, fans, guests to be there. And I know that takes away from the real experience. But again, this is about going slow to go fast. Once we feel like people are really adhering to the protocols, then we will consider, a guest per athlete. We are authorized to allow up to 2. But as of right now, it will start at 0. If we feel comfortable and everyone's following the protocols, then we will consider 1 guest per athlete that would have to go have a screener, would have to have their temperature taken, and would have to practice social distancing at that particular event. Please continue to do your part. Mask up. When you're around people, make sure you're practicing social distancing. It's not a coincidence, in my opinion, that the adults and children that go to school every day are experiencing less infection rates. And that's because while they're there, they're practicing washing their hands, they're wearing their mask all day, and they're socially distant. So as long as we continue to be diligent with this, our district will continue to move forward. Madam President, I'll stop there and open the floor for questions or comments.
Mr. Howard, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Badia, a couple questions in regards to the winter sports. So the winter sports protocol that we're following as a district, is a Section 9 decision? Because I asked that because I've been made aware, or it could be a rumor, but Section 1, which is Westchester and Dutchess, they're doing something different. Is that true?
So it is true, but so yes to the question. Section 1, which is Westchester, is doing something a little different, but what they're doing different is the coordination of which sports, which seasons will start. Now, Section 9, we decided that we would push back our fall season to later in the school year, whereas other sections didn't do that. The health and safety protocols, however, are supposed to be followed consistently across the state, and that comes right from New York, from New York State.
Okay, and my second question was this. In light of these circumstances, would it be possible, once we do start having games, and I understand you said you're gonna cut back the crowd, and then you may go to maybe 1 or 2 per athlete, would it be possible for us to have videos of the games or live streaming so that the fans and the families can actually see the games?
Yeah, we are looking into that, and there will be capability to some degree. We have it in district now, but we are exploring other options for, for instance, if it's something in the main gym, well, we have the capability to live stream there. But if it's something on a field, we would have to bring in equipment and technology in order to do that. Actually, on NFA's field, we do have the capability there, but in other parts of the district, we don't. So it's just a matter of us looking into how to live stream in order to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Thank you, Dr. Padilla.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items for this evening.
Thank you. We're going to move on to public comments on agenda items. Mr. McCoy?
There was no public comment submitted today for either agenda or non-agenda items, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to my section. And most of you see that those letters SOY on the agenda. So I'm just going to start talking and you'll understand it in a second. During these unsteady times, we must celebrate those things that point to the Newburgh Enlarged City School District as the exceptional organization that it is. In 2016, we had Mrs. Dana McDonough as the New York State Teacher of the Year. In 2018, we had Mrs. Linda Romano as the National ACTE Teacher of the Year. It's with great pleasure and joy that I share with you tonight that our Superintendent, Dr. Roberto Padilla, is the 2020 Superintendent of the Year for New York State. Let me tell you a little bit about this award. The award is part of AASA, the School Superintendents Association National Superintendent of the Year Award, which was established in 1988. Dr. Roberto Padilla is the first superintendent to win this award from Orange County. That's a big deal. And from the upper and mid Hudson region. As the New York State, I got to turn the page over, so excuse me. As the New York State winner, Dr. Padilla is being nominated for the national award, which will be presented in 2021. So let's all keep our fingers crossed for that. Dr. Padilla is the New York State's nominee for consideration as the National Superintendent of the Year to be awarded at the National Conference on Education of the American Association of School Administrators held in February 17 and 18, 2021. Dr. Padilla will also be recognized at the Council's 2021 Winter Institute and Lobby Day, March 7th through 9th, 2021 in Albany, New York, as New York State's Superintendent of the Year. The Council has not yet determined if the Winter Institute will be in person, hybrid, or virtual, and will depend on decisions made at the state level as related to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like to personally congratulate Dr. Padilla, and I know the board would like to also congratulate you. So board members, if you'd like to join me, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Mr. Howard.
Now, I would just like to congratulate Dr. Padilla on a fine accomplishment, but I think it's more indicative of the work that we as a district are doing, and him at the helm. And just, I want to say, continue the good work and continue to lead, and we sure will follow. Congratulations.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes, also, I would like to add my congratulations to Dr. Padilla and his team for supporting him. It takes a group of people in a district this size to receive an honor like this. So I just want to thank everyone that's involved. Thank you.
Mrs. Santiago.
Thank you, Madam President. I too want to, of course, chime in here and say congratulations, Dr. Padilla, to you and to everyone, to your staff and to everyone and to the whole district that supported you. It's been a lot of work this year, as I've seen firsthand. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Mrs. Maida.
I too would love to congratulate you, Dr. Padilla. Your hard work and through this pandemic has been unprecedented, and you have a wonderful staff, and we're just so proud to be a part of that.
Mrs. Burton.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Padilla, congratulations. I'm just overjoyed by this honor that has been awarded you from the state of New York. It is so big and so huge, and thank you for being our leader, and looking forward to all the wonderful opportunities coming up. Thank you.
Dr. Henderson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to chime in as well and just say congratulations, Dr. Padilla, on the huge accomplishment. Definitely makes the entire district and your team very proud. And it's good to see that your hard work and dedication is really being recognized. And we appreciate you for all you do. And thank you so much.
Mr. Stridiron.
Congratulations, Dr. Padilla, to you and your family. And I know it's been a long road.
Thank you so much, and good job, Dr. Padilla. I'm very proud of you. That concludes my items, unless you have something to say, Dr. Padilla.
Yeah, I just want to just take a moment to just express the humility, the real joy that I have in my heart right now, and I want to be very clear on why. A superintendent cannot do this work alone. And it takes a Board of Education, it takes a senior executive team, and it takes over 2,000 employees to come together and continue to put Newburgh on the map. And there's 733 school districts in New York, public school districts, and many more. To be able to win this award, and I truly believe this is a collective award. This is your award. This is the district's award. To do that here in my home community, I couldn't have asked for a better script to be written. And just, I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your constant push to be better and do better. And to our students, to our faculty and staff, congratulations to you. This is a real reflection of your grit, your resiliency, and your commitment. And I hope you take as much pride in this award as New York State does for honoring Newburgh and its accomplishments. So thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again, Dr. Padilla. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction Elementary, Mrs. Moriarty.
Thank you, Madam President. That's very exciting to follow that. So congratulations again, Dr. Padilla. We're all very excited for you. Madam President, Elementary Curriculum and Instruction presents items 5.1 through 5.4 for your consideration this evening.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Mrs. Santiago.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to comment on item 5.3 on the bicycling coalition. I think that's an awesome donation, and thank you to the people who worked to secure that. That's what I just want to say. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron,
Yes.
Ms. Burton.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Moriarty. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction Secondary, Mr. Bayer.
Thank you, Madam President. Curriculum Instruction Secondary has 6.1 through 6.6 for your consideration this evening on a consent agenda.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron,
Yes.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mr. Bayer. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Student Support Services, Dr. Roman.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, under the Student Support Services agenda, I offer 7.1 through 7.3 as a consent agenda for your consideration.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron,
Yes.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Dr. Roman. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Finance, Dr. Spindler.
Thank you, Madam President. Finance offers items 8.1 through 8.10 as a consent agenda for your consideration.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Mrs. Santiago.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I just want to point out item 8.9, the donation from, well, they're from Walmart. I understand that it was, internal people possibly who facilitated that donation. I just wanted to thank them for helping the school district and our students. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron,
Yes.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
That concludes my items for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Spindler. I'd like to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Mr. McLemore.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Human Resources agenda, I have items 9.1 through 9.4 for your consideration on tonight.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron,
Yes.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mr. McLemore. We're going to move on to our clerk of the board, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the approval of the minutes from the October 27th regular meeting.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron,
Yes.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo.
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. We have no public comments on non-agenda items, so I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Stridiron,
Definitely.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago.